Ahoy hoy Springfieldians, and welcome back to the Simpsons Theory. Now, did your mum ever look at you with a horrified look of disdain whilst you innocently watch cartoons like The Simpsons, claiming it was nothing more than crude blood, guts and mindless violence? And did you then sheepishly switch it off? Nah, me neither. The Simpsons is a lot of things, but mindless? No. We feel that the makers always had a purpose for these gory details. They literally invested all of their blood, sweat and tears into their work. So let's sit back and see some heads being crushed, impaled and sliced open, shall we? For such an intense episode, I had to bring a Simpsons expert to help me out. Please welcome Charlie to the show. Charlie is creator and owner of the hugely popular Twitter page, Simpsons Quote of the Day.
Hey everyone, I'm Charlie.
And I'm Lydia.
And this is 15 most gruesome Simpsons moments.
If you are new to the channel, then hit that subscribe button and press the thumbs up. It really helps me out.
Number 15, crushed by a statue. Treehouse of Horror 23. The episode starts off with a Maya Mo being beheaded before his head rolls down the temple steps. He is then kicked around like a football while still alive until he is finally impaled on a stick. Stay with me guys, we haven't even started the list yet. In present day, Homer answers to seemingly innocent trick-or-treaters. Instead, he is met by 3 giant Mayan stone gods like you do. He is then crushed by a large foot which causes Homer's intestines to spill out.
Number 14, Maggie's head count. Treehouse of Horror 27. Maggie may seem cute and innocent, but don't let that devil spawn fool you. The youngest Simpson is a ruthless killing machine. She did shoot Mr. Burns in cold blood after all. During the opening to this episode, the Simpsons are going Christmas tree shopping on Halloween, when Sosho Bob, Kang, the ghost of Frank Grimes and the leprechaun jump out. But before the villains can do anything to the Simpsons family, Maggie launches at them with a knife and slices off their heads without a hint of hesitation. Not so cute anymore, is she?
Number 13, the Gremlin and the Christian, Treehouse of Horror 4. Bart sees a gremlin on the side of the school bus, but even after telling everyone on board, no one believes the little tyke. The little devil creature tears a gash into the metal and rips out wires and bolts. Bart is finally able to throw a flare at the monster, throwing it off the bus, where he is found by Ned Flanders, who adopts the creature. And how does the gremlin repay Neddy's kindness? By tearing off his head and proudly showing it off to terrify Bart. This is a pretty horrifying moment, seeing Ned's dismembered talking head and his torn spine underneath. Yuck.
Number 12, Springfield engorges Homer. Bart the Daredevil. After Homer pleads with Bart not to jump off the Springfield Gorge, Homer unknowingly does. And let's cut this right here. If we were to make a video discussing the top 15 iconic Simpsons moments, this would easily be in the top 5. However, it ticks all the boxes for being gruesome too. Like the kids, we are literally seeing Homer being ripped to shreds. He seems to bounce off of all the sharpest rocks, and blood spills out of his wounds and mouth. This is until he ends up resembling like a lumpy, broken, shredded up, fleshy growth on the base of the gorge. And of course, the Simpsons makers have to take it that much further. When the ambulance finally arrives, oh, poor Homer.
Number 11, take the thumb, leave the brownies. Trilogy of Error. So this may seem a little tame compared to beheading a raving Christian, but this entry gives us the heebie-jeebies because, let's face it, who wants blood on their brownies? As Homer is being all cute with Marge in the kitchen, desperate for a bite of some delicious brownies, his thumb gets chopped off, blood splurts out of his wound as he squeezes his wrist. The bone sticks out of the bleeding, fleshy digit, still wriggling slightly as panic rises. And of course, the dismembered thumb is then dragged all over the house by Santa's little rubbish helper. After the thumb's big adventure, we see it slowly shrivel and deteriorate in poor Homer's ice bowl. It's a thumbs up from us.
Number 10, Milhouse vs Blinky, Treehouse of Horror 24. So this is the episode which features the brilliant opening sequence by Guillermo del Toro. It's here where we see the Simpsons being literally engulfed by horror references, including Night of the Living Dead, as well as Alfred Hitchcock's treatment of actors. But the scene we're going to be discussing is pretty short. So short that if you blinky, you might miss it. And that is poor Milhouse being devoured by everyone's favourite three-eyed fish, Blinky. And the thing that really makes it gross is just how much blood spills out of Milhouse in half a second. I guess it's not all coming up Milhouse.
Number 9, Corkscrew You, Treehouse of Horror 9. When infamous criminal Snake gets electrocuted, his hair gets donated to Homer. The toupee then possesses Homer to embody Snake's personality and personal vendettas. This results in Homer literally corkscrewing Moe's heart out of his chest. his heart pulsating with blood pumping out. The thing that makes this even more gory is the sound. But damn, at least Mo had a nutritious last meal.
Number 8. Dr. Hibbert's alfresco surgery. Tennis the Menace. Dr. Hibbert and bloody violence doesn't really go together, does it? I mean, he's no Dr. Nick. This is why this scene is so gruesome. Dr. Hibbert decides it's a lovely day for some outdoor surgery, when an army of tennis balls bounce all over Springfield, and one pops straight onto Dr. Hibbert's patient. This scene makes me a little queasy, as I can just imagine something so fuzzy like a tennis ball landing directly on an open human chest. The blood caught within the fibres of the ball and the pressure of the organs underneath. Ugh.
Number 7. Judge Slider in half. Homer and Ned's Hail Mary pass. Ned Flanders becomes an acclaimed movie director, reenacting moments from the Bible in graphic detail. The most gruesome moment is Judge Snyder's representation of King Solomon, where he repeatedly stabs a baby. But that's not the sickest part. After realising what he's done, he slices himself in half. 2 halves of his body slide apart, revealing his detailed insides and organs. I suppose he had to take the law into his own hands.
Number 6. Lenny's Lucky Penny. Monty Can't Buy Me Love. In an effort to become more likeable, Mr. Burns enlists the help of Homer to win the love of the people. While the two are showering coins from the rooftops, one of the coins plunges into Lenny's head, and when Carl dislodges it, his wound bursts out with blood. So Carl quickly puts it back in like a cork. But ever the gentleman, as a pretty woman passes, Lenny tips his coin to her, who quite rightly runs away as blood gushes out like a water fountain. Guess he had to take a Lenny to leave a Lenny. No. Okay, moving on.
Number 5. Dolphin Attack. Treehouse of Horror 11. If you thought the dolphins were cute, friendly creatures, then this will blow that thought straight out of the water. In the episode, dolphins are sick of being forced to perform in degrading shows and decide to fight back. They begin by eating poor Lenny.
Oh no, not Lenny! Not Lenny!
After learning to walk, they take over Springfield, but not before one of them smashes through the glass and punctures itself through Willie's chest. The dolphin tears through the Scotsman with ease. If you thought sharks were scary, you haven't met these dolphins. I think we're going to need a bigger list.
Number 4. Herma Appetit. Treehouse of Horror 28. Homer developed a taste for human flesh. His human flesh. He just can't stop eating himself, and he begins slicing off his body parts to eat. He even grates his own skin for seasoning, and he brings out that trusty corkscrew and twists it into his ear to pull out some delicious gooey brain matter, and rips out his own teeth for cake decoration. And it's almost enough to put me off my pink frosted donuts. Almost.
Number 3. Krusty Grinder. Treehouse of Horror 19. When dropping off Maggie at daycare, Krusty arrives to sandblast a mural that contains an unlicensed use of his image. Maggie gets upset at this, so Homer confronts the greedy clown. After the conversation turns heated, Homer pushes Krusty and after a series of hilarious but unfortunate events, ends up in a wood chipper. But the poor clown doesn't die quickly. Instead, he screams in pain as the lower half of his body is slowly grinded up. Blood and body parts spurt out of the machine before he is completely consumed. Homer proceeds to do CPR to the heart, but for some reason, that doesn't work.
Number 2. Homer's melting face. Last week I included this segment in the scariest Simpsons moments, but it's just so traumatizing that I had to include it again. Homer unsurprisingly forgets to pick up his son from football practice, and Bart has to wait for hours in the pouring rain. And when the Big O finally remembers, Bart is none too pleased. With the melting ice cream sundae oozing down his face, he turns to look at his father and imagines Homer's head melting. His skin is literally peeling off of his face, and his eyes are turning into milky white orbs. This is terrifying imagery, hence why we're repeating it.
Number 1. Skinless dancing mussels. Treehouse of Horror 5. And finally, the most gruesome moment of The Simpsons. In the final segment of this Treehouse of Horror episode, Nightmare Cafeteria, students are ground up into lunch food. After falling from a high ledge and hurtling into a food blender, Bart wakes up and is relieved to find out it was all just a dream. Just when he thought his terrifying ordeal was over, a mysterious fog seeps in through the window. The family scream in pain as their skin tears off and turns inside out. But something as little as having no skin doesn't stop them. They perform a musical number. As they dance on stage, blood spurts out from their pink fleshy bodies, coating the floor in red. Santa's little helper then yanks out Bart's intestines and drags him off stage to be eaten alive. So much for man's best friend.
And there we have it. That's the end of the list. I would like to say a big thank you to Charlie for helping me out with this video. Please go and follow him on his Twitter page in the description below. He posts hilarious, obscure, nostalgic and classic Simpsons quotes every single day. So what's your favourite gruesome Simpsons moment? I would like to say a big thank you to my Flying Hellfish Patreons James Whitehead and Jesse Porter. If you'd like to become a member, then check out the support me link in the description below. Thank you very much for watching and I'll see you soon.